All right, so let's go back to our console.firebase. This is from a previous setup, right? The Android app. Now we're going to do iOS. So essentially, it's going to be the same thing what we did before. And if you hover over now, you can see now we have two apps, right? We have the book tracker for web as well as a reader tester. Same thing. We can give different names. In this case, it's for Android. So we're going to add another app. So add app. And now we're going to do iOS. So we click iOS. The same thing is going to happen. So now we need to go ahead and get the iOS bundle ID. Now this is very important because it has to be exactly what we have on our project. So I'm going to go back to our code. And one way to do this, again, you have to have Xcode installed and set up and ready to go for this to work, okay? Very important. So let's go to iOS. So click iOS. I like to right click anywhere inside of iOS, indeed. Anywhere inside of iOS, I'm going to just right click. I'm going to reveal in Finder. So go to find that project. And so what you want to do is you want to double click to open this run of that Xcode project. So double click as such. It'll take a few seconds to open Xcode. And it looks like you need to install a few things. Oh boy. Okay, we're just going to have to do it. I'm going to pass here my code. Okay, it's installing components. Do it again. So double click. It should open this project. And this is what you should see. And you can see here we do have this, it says runner, and we have that icon. The reason why we have this is because we've used the launcher icons package and created all of the launchers that are needed for iOS and Android. That's why you can see that they're all there. If you go to assets, click there, you can see that we have that icon and all different sizes. All of that was created from that package. How do we get the iOS bundle ID? There's different ways, but this is the simplest way, I think. If you go back to our runner here, click on a runner, and you should see on the General tab. The General tab will have this. This is indeed the bundle identifier. That's what's needed. So I'm going to copy that and add it there. Okay. You can give a nickname if you want. We don't need any of that. I'm going to go ahead and say register app. The app is registered. The same thing we had before is going to say Google service info.plist. That's what we're going to be adding, right? Inside of my application at that root there. So I'm going to go ahead and download that right away. I'm going to put that on my desktop so I have access to it. Go back to our Xcode. I'm going to just drag it. And so there is a mistake here that it's being made. First of all, the Google Service Info plist I'm adding, as I show in the video, in the wrong place. It should actually go at the top there where you see this arrow. And I will rectify that later. But I just wanted to give you the heads up so you can do it right from the beginning. Add it there. In this case here, destination, copy items if needed. Make sure that we have this ticked, okay? And say finish. The other thing we need to do here is because we are going to deal with images that are coming from the internet, right? And so we need to, just like on Android, we have to kind of sort of add that uses permission internet. We have to do the same thing in a sense here as well. So to give that permission, we go to our info plist. And what I want to do actually, I want to open this as a source code. So I'm going to right click again the file. I'm going to say open as source code like this. Okay. Once you do that, then it opens as source code. Line of code that we need to add. In fact, if this is too daunting, what you can do, we can actually get rid of this. Meaning we can open this info plist inside of what we know, which is our VS Code. So there we go. Let's go and find our plist. Either way what works, but I'm going to show you this other way. Let's go to our runner, of course, and we have our info plist. Double click and this opens. So this is the same as this. So I'm going to paste in the piece of code and I'm going to add it right after this ls requires iPhone OS key where it says true. Right below that, I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to paste that piece of code. Okay. This will allow us to go and fetch information from the internet, and you should have access to this piece of code. All right, let's get out of info plist. And next thing we need to do, still inside of our iOS, can close that. there is this pod file. So double click. This one is going to say platform iOS 9. We need to change that to 10. Okay, just go ahead and change that to something like this. 10.0 like that. And save. Now we're going to try to run on iOS. So select device, and I'm going to open an iOS simulator like that. I have one. That's right. So start running. There it is. May take a little while, so let's be patient. Okay, let's see if this is going to work. I'm going to make this smaller again. In fact, let me move this there. Okay, so we have all of the apps running in one place. I think that's pretty interesting. So let's see if we can come down here, choose select device, iPhone, it's selected. Let's go to terminal, open a new one. Now I'm going to say Flutter run release like this. Okay, I'm going to choose number 2 because I want the iPhone 12 to be the target. Let's try. It looks like we're having an issue there. No problem. Let's try Flutter run. Hit enter. Okay, do the same thing. I'm going to say 2. All right, so now it's launching everything in debug mode in C. Let's see if we can see this app running. Now it's running pod install, and looks like we do have some problem and we have to fix it. So it looks like our Cloudflare store is using Firebase SDK version 7.11 defined in Firebase core. And one thing I noticed, it was my mistake, is that if we go to runner, notice that we added this Google service here. Actually, this has to be outside of the runner. So that was my mistake. Let's move that. That's very good. So what we're going to do, we're going to run again, even though we are probably going to get the same errors. Okay, we're going to use the number 2 because that's the iPhone. Okay, that's fine. We got the same issues again. And you can see here, it says automatically assign platform iOS with version 9 on target runner because no platform was specified. Please verify platform for this target in your pod file. So looks like if we go up to find our pod file, click, and even though we added 10, oh, right. We added 10, so we have to uncomment it by select everything, say command /, and hopefully this will solve our issue and we are able to run on our simulator. Now it's running Xcode build, okay, Xcode build, and we do have another error here. Seems like this is a better error than the previous one. Looks like the hex color plugin is not working. Right, so if you see here, includes header hex color umbrella, it doesn't know what that is. Well, what this is, if we go back to our code, in our main, we shouldn't have hex color at all. Let's just get rid of our hex color, pub spec like this, and let's get rid of hex color altogether. Extension, this will allow us to know exactly which files rely on hex color. Right, one thing you'll notice once we have restarted everything is that because we removed the hex color plugin or package, we no longer have access to it. Okay, this is one of the problems we're getting. So in this case, what we can do, we can actually change this to just say color, and because color takes in an int, if you hover over, it's going to say int value. And for this to work, let's hover over, it's going to say, so it's going to be something like this color, and you say OX to signify that this is a hexadecimal code. So I'm going to just say OX, and then it says here we need to add the first 2 characters are going to be for the alpha. So I'm just going to say 2 Fs like this. So get rid of all of that. Okay, so now it's working. So I'm going to start copy this and go to other places that we're having issues. In fact, we're still having some problems here. If you look here, we have this red, click. There's that. I'm just going to say color 0x ff and get rid of that. Should be good for this file. Looks like we have another problem, a few problems actually. This no longer works for us. And then change this one, that one as well, and there's one at the bottom there. Okay, seems like everything is now looking good. Looks like I have another problem. Let's go to, oh, we have a few problems. Might as well go and fix that before we run into many other issues. Let's change all hexes here again. Color. There's no hex in this file. Should be hex in this file. Right, so after we're sure that all of the hex plugin code is replaced with color, let's go ahead and, because we made a few changes, let's go back to, say, ls and go to cd to iOS, ls pod install, just to reinstall everything, hit enter. Okay, looks like it's good. Say clear, flutter, clean. And now let's go ahead and click here, say run. So we're going to debug, hopefully, on an iOS simulator. And of course, after a little while, be patient because it will take a little while. We should see that it says that it's running. Everything is good. Let's hope, and voila. Let's sign in. I'm going to sign in as John. And such. There we go. We have signed in and everything is good. I can click here and go ahead and add a rating. Say 4.5. Great book. Okay, so update. There it is. Very good. I can scroll up and scroll left. I can go ahead and add a new book. Look at this. Learning. There's a few books about learning, of course. Just get that one. I can read the description. There's information about published date and so forth. Save, and you can see right away it was added there or showed up here because the database is the same, right? And there it is. It's showing there. And I want to read this book. I can start reading, update, and now notice now it shows up right there. And so of course we can go back and run, find the device. Let's run on Chrome. Go ahead and run, start running. All right, so now it's running also on localhost in this case. That's fine. I'm gonna log in. And there you have it. There is the web app running on iOS and Android, all using the same code base. Very nice indeed. Wow, this is exciting. Of course, we can still do the same thing we've been doing, which is adding. You can edit things, you can delete. In fact, if I decide to delete this one here, say delete, yes, you're gonna see that also should not be around anywhere in any of these devices. All right, very good. And if I decide to do some changes on this one, say great book, update, notice updated all across. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. The application, the web app that we built is also running on iOS as well as on Android. There may be some errors you may encounter. I hope we're able to cover all of them here. What's really important is just to remember that whenever we're adding the Google service plist, it's always a good idea to add it using Xcode by going to our project, right? And then run this runner XC workspace, Xcode workspace, okay? Not this one. I know I've probably used this one, but you need to use this one here. And then you must add, as you see here, is the Google service info plist at the iOS level, the root folder level, as you see here. It's very, very important. All right, there you have it. Congratulations, and thank you so much for your time.